So number four, The Dream Master, was directed by Rennie Harlin.
Yeah.
Now, Rennie Harlin is either famous or infamous, depending on who you talk to. Formerly married to Gina Davis, he did some really he's done some really good movies, and he's done some really huge flops. But I think most recently he's doing the pre-story movie of the Strangers series.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Strangers Part One, Two, and Three. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's getting a lot of flack for those. Um, but he did this was his second movie. He did one like very low budget movie before this, and he basically begged his way into um getting the gig to when he was super young. I think he was like
Hmm.
24 or something, of directing Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And it came out and it was the most popular one yet. It made so much
Yeah.
money that it launched his career. I think his next movie was Die Hard 2. So he got like a huge budget movie and he's been doing big budget movies ever since. And yeah,
Yeah.
he's he's done some shit movies, but he's done some good stuff. But this one is one of the ones that's kind of polarizing. I've seen some people that hate this one, but I
Yeah.
like it. It does go from part three being kind of dark and serious, where
Yeah.
this one's like way lighter in tone. This one's like barely a horror movie.
Yeah.
It gets funnier, but it's very imaginative and it's fun. So I do really like it. What do you think?
I think, yeah, it's definitely the next two are very cartoonish. So he becomes a cartoon villain, and that's absolutely okay with me. They were really able to use their creativity for some of these kills. We get some of the most creative, spectacular kills in the entire series in these next two movies. And they, like you said, they will be polarizing. Some people say that's too silly, but I think that it's just right. I think that there's plenty of Nightmare on, or there are plenty of Friday the 13th clones out there or Halloween clones out there where somebody's just going and shoving a machete through somebody. But how many other movies are there when somebody gets turned into a Cronenbergian body horror cockroach and then squashed? I think that's the next one.
Yeah.
That's not this one. I jumped the gun there. That's the
No,
next
that is
movie.
this one.
Is it this one? Yeah, it
It's
is
part
this one.
four. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's four. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is really that's creative because when that kill starts, you don't think it's going to go that way. Like it starts off for the people who haven't seen it. I'm going to spoil it for you. This one particular kill. Um, this one particular character is a body. She's a bodybuilder. Like she's big on physical fitness, and so she's down there. She's on her bench. She's lifting her weights and all that sort of thing. And Freddy comes around and he does a little thing, where he's goofing around, and I think he calls her bitch. But actually, this isn't the movie where he starts punctuating all of his sentences with bitch. That's, I think, the next one. This you can see it coming, but um, so he comes around, he does his thing, and then he breaks both of her forearms. Okay, and so you think, okay, he's just gonna make the barbell killer or something like that. She's not gonna be able to lift the weight, and it's gonna smoosh her. But no, he turns her into a cockroach, and then she's in a roach motel, and then he squishes her, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's imaginative, and they did kind of allude to that earlier. That she's like, ew, I hate bugs, and she like stomps
Yeah,
on a bug. But it's like, yeah, you assume like, oh, she talks about being a bodybuilder. She's always lifting weights. She is lifting weights at the time Freddy comes for her. It's gonna something to do with the weights or the exercise machine, something. But it just goes in a different direction. No, she turns into a roach. It's like, yeah, that's very creative. Um, even Joey's kill,
yeah,
where he's like gets sucked into his water bed, and then his mom comes in the morning, pulls the covers back, and he's like inside the water bed.
yeah,
That's another one. It doesn't quite make sense because it's like, well, if he's in the dream, how did he
yeah. How do
physically
you get in
get inside it?
there?
But I kind of justify it that Freddy, like he controls a dream world, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's a bit of a bleed over to the real world where things kind of happen for real. So basically, you just have to not think about it very much because it doesn't make sense, but it's still super cool.
What if, because we never learned what Joey's Dream Warrior power was, right? What if he was like the Flash and he could vibrate his molecules through things? And that's how he ended up in the waterbed and that's how he died.
It doesn't quite make sense though because that would be his power in the dream world, not
Right, right.
so it's always there's always
No,
that like you could kind of debate. You basically just have to not think about it much because it'll
right.
drive you crazy. Because he'd be like every 2 minutes, he'd be like, "Wait a minute, they just showed this. Now this is happening," and it's like, don't think about it too much. It'll ruin your enjoyment of the movie.
But one thing that we can definitely, there was a fire truck out there that just honked.
Oh,
One thing that we definitely do know for sure, though, is that the boobies did kill him this time.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
horniness killed him.
yeah, yeah. It did. Yeah, he was looking at he had a poster of like a woman in a bikini on his wall, and then he fell asleep, looked back up at it, and she was gone from the poster. And then all of a sudden his bed starts like rippling, and he looks down, and she's like inside of his bed. And then all of a sudden it turns into Freddy, and he pops up,
Yeah,
drags him in, stabs him, bed fills with blood. And then his mom comes in, and there's no blood or anything, but he's
yeah.
inside of the waterbed, drowned.
But we also
Very
get the
cool.
iconic line, the "How's that for a wet dream?"
Yeah, this is where Freddy's just full on making one-liners, and there's a a debate over whether or not some people like that, some don't. I don't mind it. Even
I
in the
can't
first
believe they
one, he was
reused
kind of
that line.
cracking
Sorry,
when
go
they.
ahead. They reused that line in the 2010 reboot, in the realistic one. They
Oh,
reused that line, the wet dream line.
yeah, I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely much better.
Rooney Mara's character, playing Nancy, playing not Nancy Thompson, but Nancy, another Nancy, is walking through a really like a hallway that's been filled with slop that it's hard to get through, and he says, "How's that for a wet dream?" or something like that.
Oh,
He reused it. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, this one it even had. I remember when I was a little kid and I watched the first or part three with some friends at a sleepover.
yeah.
We were talking about it, and one guy who had seen part four,
Uh-huh.
which was like I guess the newest one that came out. He's like, "Yeah, in the new one, it's like a dog pisses fire, and that's what revives Freddy." And it's
He
like,
does. It's crazy.
I don't know how they thought of that or how that makes sense, but it's still pretty cool. I love how Freddy comes back in this one because in part three, he
Yeah,
doesn't really come back. He's just there all of a sudden. In
yeah,
this one, he starts off dead. This is like a continuation of part three. His
yeah.
skeleton is buried. It's like in pieces. So the dog pisses fire on the grave. Also, the grave opens up and his body basically reassembles itself.
Right.
And he comes out, picks up his hat, and then stabs Kincaid.
Absolutely. But right before they do that, the way that they zoom out in stages to show you this junkyard that Kincaid's in and how it becomes like a Hellraiser-esque Leviathan area maze of junked out cars and Kincaid stuck in the clearing in the middle of it with Freddy is really visually impressive.
Yeah, it's like it's he's like, look, yeah, he's stuck in this junkyard. So like
Yeah.
the camera moves straight up and it's like, this is a huge junkyard, and then it moves back
Yeah.
further. It's like this is like the size of a country. And then it's like
Yeah.
pulls out and it's like, no, this is the entire planet is a junkyard. And of course this is in Freddy's dream world. And so yeah, the movie starts with Kincaid from part three gets killed, Joey from part three gets killed, and
Yeah.
then Kristen, who was the main character in part three, she gets killed.
Yeah.
And so Freddy is basically like, "Hey, I'm running out of Elm Street, kids." So right before he kills Kristen, he's like, "Bring me fresh meat." So she brings in a bunch of her new friends,
Yeah.
or the new characters we meet. So all of a sudden, there's all these other new characters. One of them being Alice, who is the protagonist in the next two movies, and she survives. She doesn't die.
Yeah.
She basically defeats Freddy in this one and the next one. But um, yeah, this it's a good movie. Like, how do you think it
Yeah.
compares to the others?
Um, well, definitely, I think that it's got a lighter tone. And then this is when they really started going crazy with the lore because Alice is the Dream Master. And so Alice's power is that she can take everyone else's powers and have everyone's powers at the same time. She's Peter Petrelli from Heroes. Okay. She has everyone's powers all at the same time and she can use them. Some of the kills were silly. Some of the kills were really creative, like we talked about. Her brother's death is goofy. Her brother is a white ninja. Her brother is a one of those guys who watched too many Ninja Turtles episodes and got some nunchucks, and he was, used to put on the karate headband and turn on some jock rock and start flipping his nunchucks all around. And he decides he's going to karate fight Freddy, and you know how that goes. That.
Yeah, and if you
Um,
want to watch the Never Sleep Again, the documentary on the
yeah,
series, they explain because basically in that scene, there's no Freddy. Freddy's invisible.
yeah,
All you see is his glove, and they said that they basically ran out of money to film anything.
yeah.
So I think they couldn't even pay Robert Englund to come that day. So they're like, "How about Freddy's just invisible?" Even though that makes no sense and it's stupid, but they're like, "Hey, what else are we gonna do?" When I didn't even notice, I was like, "Hey, he's
Mhm.
invisible. He can do what he wants." So you basically have this karate guy fighting an invisible Freddy, and then a glove just floats across the room and stabs him. And then even the filmmakers, like they're like, we hate that. It was so cheap. Even the set, like they just had to dress the set so cheaply.
Yeah.
If you just watch it, you just figure, hey, that's what they
Yeah.
chose. You don't
I
know
had no
anything's
idea.
wrong with it.
But I'll bet you they spent all of that money on the ending scene where Freddy is torn apart by the souls of his victims, because holy shit, that looked incredible.
Yeah, yeah, he's uh, got little arms ripping out of his body and pulling him apart, and it's yeah, like they yeah, it's just imagination, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much all practical because it had to be back then. There wasn't any CGI, so
Yeah.
yeah, they probably spent a ton on that.
Did you know that Linnea Quigley was one of those people
Yes,
that was stuck in him? Yeah.
I forgot, but now that he mentioned me, I was like, yeah, that
Yeah.
was in the documentary. Where would you place four? Kind of like probably not as good as number three, but or do you think it's the worst one yet?
No, I tell you, my ranking so far as we go through right now is number three at the top, number two and number two spot, number one, and then number four. So it's the worst so far, but it's not the worst overall. I promise you that much.
And even it gets worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, even saying that if it's the worst one, it's still really, really, really good.
Yeah. Like I
Um,
still gave it an 8 out of 10 on Letterboxd. I mean,
yeah,
honestly. Yeah.
yeah. Like sometimes I hate like I do ranking videos on my channel, and sometimes it's
Mhm.
hard because it's like, oh, I rank something last, but a lot of the times it's like it's still a really good movie. Don't get that wrong.
Yeah.
This is one of those cases where yeah, number four is kind of one of the weaker ones, but it's still like still one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely.